Yes, sir. Sir. Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Doctor?
I
request everyone to keep your mobiles on mute.
Mute了 தானே எல்லாமே.
FSSAI.
Yeah, I think so. We'll start. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the first webinar of a three. I request everyone to mute yourself, please. Yeah, welcome to the first webinar of a three-webinar series on the important topics related to FSSAI, both in manufacturing and marketing of food supplements, nutraceuticals. Thank you all for joining. I am Sivanandan, Honorary Secretary of IDMA, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Puducherry State Board. Our chairman, Mr. J. Jayasilan, couldn't make it today. Yeah. Our chief guest today is Shri V.K. Pancham, Director, Southern Regional Office, FSSAI. Our guest of honor and speaker is Dr. K. Arul Anand, Joint Director, CLA, Tamil Nadu and Andhra Pradesh. I would like to thank all our speakers who had agreed to update, educate us in all on the various topics in FSSAI when we had approached them in the good offices of Dr. Arul Anand. Thank you, Doctor, for immediately accepting our invitation Today's program is jointly organized by IDMA Tamil Nadu Puducherry Kerala State Board and Telangana State Board. Today's topic is on FSSAI licensing and registration and Schedule 4 requirements, which we all have queries on. I'm sure by the end of today's session, we will get all our questions answered. We will also take questions throughout this webinar, but I request you only to put your questions or queries only in the chat box. And all through the session, I request everyone to keep themselves muted. And without further ado, let us start the first webinar session. It will be my pleasure and honor to introduce our chief guest today, Shri V.K. Pancham, who is the Director of Southern Regional Office, Chennai. Sir is basically a food technologist, has an immense experience in food processing industry. In his career spanning more than 24 years in government services alone, he has worked at various levels contributing to the food regulatory ecosystem, be it framing standards, licensing, or imports. He was as a director standards at the FSSAI headquarters till recently, and now Sir has taken over as the Regional Director of Southern Regional Office, South Zone, and shall be the administrative head governing all southern states of Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Kerala, Puducherry, and Lakshadweep. Welcome, sir. Thank you for joining.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone who has joined this webinar workshop series jointly organized by FSSAI and Indian Drug Manufacturers Association. It is indeed an immense pleasure for me to deliver the keynote address on this training session, which has been phased out for the 3 days for covering all aspects of health, supplement, and nutraceutical. I would like to thank all office bearers of the IDMA, Shri S.V. Veeramani, IDMA, Shri T. Ravichandran, Vice President, Southern Region, IDMA, Shri J. Jayasilan, Chairman, Tamil Nadu, Puducherry, Kerala State Board, Shri J. Rajamouli, Chairman, Telangana State Board, Shri S. Shivan, Honorable Secretary, IDMA, Tamil Nadu, Puducherry, Kerala State Board, and Shri S. Sridharan, Chairman, Seminar Committee, IDMA, Tamil Nadu, Puducherry, Kerala State Board, for organizing these events. Sir, welcome to all who have joined our webinar workshop. In addition to today's session, we plan to two more sessions on 25th October and 1st November, and each of these will be useful for those applying for license for health supplement and nutraceutical, or those who intend to venture into it in future as well. This session has been planned on 3 different dates to give specific dealing on all aspects governing health supplements and nutraceutical products, which includes licensing and registration and Schedule 4 requirements, online application procedure specifically for health supplements and nutraceuticals, and overview on health supplement and nutraceutical regulations. As on date, only in the southern region we have total 5,145 active manufacturing entities under the central license, and out of which total 506 companies are manufacturing health supplement and nutraceutical products. You are all will be aware that there was a recent enforcement drive on health supplement and nutra industry across the country and the reasons behind the same. Food Safety Standard Authority of India had come up with this regulation in 2016 for regulating health supplements and nutraceutical products. However, even till that, even those FBOs involved in manufacture and trade of these products lacks a clear understanding of the regulations and the licensing process. This session mainly aims to address those issues and streamline it as much as possible. Hope this session will be useful and informative for all participating, and expect maximum participants in the next two sessions planned as well. I request you all to make use of these sessions fruitfully. Wishing you all the very best. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your kind words. Going into the next session, which will be by Dr. K. Arul Anand, FSSAI. It will be on the topic of FSSAI licensing and regulation, registration and Schedule 4 requirements. Yeah, it will be my pleasure and honor to introduce Dr. K. A. Arul Anand. I'm sure everyone are familiar with a doctor who had also given a very good speech during the Pharmac South also. Dr. Arul Anand is a veterinarian by qualification. He has over 20 years of experience in human vaccine industry and has worked in reputed WHO pre-qualified companies in the area of quality control, regulatory affairs, and clinical trials and pharmacovigilance. Currently, he is on a deputational role to FSSAI authority of the...
Hello.
Hello? Yeah.
Yeah, continue.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry, there was a disruption in my internet. Doctor was part of clinical trials, pharmacovigilance, and he is on a deputational role to the FSSAI as a joint director. He is a designated officer and central licensing authority for food licensing for states of Tamil Nadu and Andhra Pradesh. Doctor, over to you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for the introduction. Even before I start my session, I would like to extend my sincere thanks to our respected director, Southern Regional Office, B.K. Pancham, sir, because sir, once he took over as the regional director, the first thing that sir told was that we should do more number of trainings and keep our FBOs informed about all the latest updates in FSSAI. So training was something that sir insisted that we should do. And thank you, sir, for allowing us to do this presentation. My sincere thanks to, in fact, my appreciations to the office bearers of the Indian Drug Manufacturing Association, especially Tamil Nadu, Puducherry, Kerala State Board, and the Telangana State Board. I am also equally pleased that you readily agreed to involve all the states which are willing to participate in this training session. And special thanks to Mr. Sivanandan. He has been personally following up with me for this training session. In fact, we were supposed to do this in the month of September, but owing to our commitments, we couldn't do it. And then it has come down to the month of October now. And also, special thanks to my colleagues, Dr. Vivek and Ms. Lydia, will also be the technical speakers for the next two sessions that's going to happen in the subsequent weeks. So with that, I would like to start with the presentation, the topic of today, which is licensing and registration and Schedule 4 requirements. Before I go into the Schedule 4 requirements, some basic aspects of what FSSAI is, and then also what we do in the Southern Regional Office, and then we'll go into the topic of discussion, which is the Schedule 4 requirements. Yeah, so we'll be looking at what FSSAI is, what is the rule book of FSSAI says, which comprises of the Act, rules, and regulations. We'll be looking into the specifics of licensing and registration. We have an exclusive regulation for FSSAI licensing and registration. So the entire content of this presentation speaks about this particular regulation, and also question and answer the session, which will be at the last part of this presentation. presentation. Now, one thing that the very purpose as why myself and my colleague Dr. Vivek, we were actually wanting to do this presentation was we wanted this awareness to come, especially for health supplement and nutraceutical products, in terms of what we saw in our inspection of various units that we have done, and also in terms of how we scrutinize the license application when it comes in POSCOs, and also to give more clarity in terms of the schedules which are there in the regulation, and also in terms of what ingredients are permitted, how the RDA value has to be computed, what additives are permitted, and in which formats it is permitted. So all that we felt that we should create this awareness to the participating manufacturers, so that it becomes easy for you when you make an application. It also becomes easy for us when we come for an inspection to your unit, so that with the expectation that you will be a compliant entity. So the entire purpose of this training is to give you an idea about what we expect, what the authority expects in terms of the facility, what the authority expects in terms of the license application when it comes for the POSCO's scrutiny, and also to give you the information in terms of the regulations, in terms of what are all the applicable schedules and the regulations, the permitted ingredients and the permitted additives and the formats that are there in the regulations. So that is the entire purpose of this training. Now, why FSSAI came into picture? The Food Safety Authority, the Food Safety Standards Authority of India, why it came into existence? Now, it is because earlier, before the FSSAI regime, there were multiple orders which were governing the aspects of food, and this complexity of orders, this multiple nature of orders, was actually very confusing for FPOs to where to approach, where to get the necessary approvals to start a business, and that was leading to delays, unwanted delays, and other complications. So, with this purpose only, the Food Safety and Standards Authority was formed. The purpose being removal of multiple orders, harmonizing with the international law, framing regulatory requirements based on science and risk analysis, and facilitating trade and bringing in innovation without compromising consumer safety. Now, these were the orders that were there before the FSSAI regime. The oldest one is the Prevention of Food Adulteration Act, which dates back to 1954. And then based on commodities, we had different orders. We had the food products order, the meat products order, vegetable oil. For oil alone, we had 3 orders, and the milk and milk products order, and any other order under Essential Commodities Act 1955 relating to food. So this was the multiple orders governing different aspects of food were there, and this was the reason which made the government to think that there should be one uniform law rule across the country, and with that objective only the Food Safety and Standards Act was made in the year 2006. Now, the entire purpose, as I told, is one nation, one food law. Though the implementing agency, the executing agency maybe has 2 different wings. We have the central licensing and the state licensing divisions, but the law is same. The rule book is same across the country. So any aspects of food, now we have only one rule book to refer to and one authority to refer to. The authority is Food Safety Standards Authority of India. The rule book is the Food Safety and Standards Act, Rules and Regulations. Now, the Act was passed in the Parliament on 23rd of August 2006. The authority was established, the Food Safety and Standards Authority was established in the year 2008. The Food Safety Authority comes under the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Government of India, and it is headed by a chairperson and the chief executive officer, who are of the secretary level to Government of India. Now, what FSSAI does various aspects, but to for a precise understanding, mainly three major aspects of FSSAI one is establishing science-based standards. That is one of the most important role of FSSAI. For every item of food that we are having, the public of India consumes, there should be a science-based standard. There should be quality parameters for each food. There should be microbial parameters to be set. What should be the contaminant toxin residues limit for each aspect of food? All that is being established by the Food Safety Authority, that is making science-based standards. Not like just like that we are having food. Any food that is being consumed, any food that is being manufactured should be based on certain standards, and preparing the standards, creation of the standards is being done by the Food Safety Authority. The second most important thing is regulation. When it comes to regulation, when it comes to regulating, it is the entire aspects of the food manufacturing process, the food processing, the distribution, sale, any aspect of it, be it storage, be it e-commerce, be it retail sales, whatever be it, if food is being handled, it has to be regulated. It has to be through a licensing mechanism, and that is what is the secondary and the other important function of the Food Safety Authority. The licensing division does this particular activity. We evaluate food business operators for their capability, and then the licenses are being issued. This is the second important thing. And the third important aspect, the third important role of FSSAI is food imports. Any food commodity that is being brought into our country has to go through this food import clearance process. No food can enter into the domestic market before it is being tested and cleared by the Food Safety Authority. And the entire purpose is why science-based standards are made, why there is a licensing concept in the country, and why food import clearance system is there in the country. It's all to ensure the general public, the people of India, get safe and wholesome food for human consumption. So that is the objective of FSSAI. The three major functions being science-based standards, regulating, which is the licensing aspect, the third one being import of food. Of course, FSSAI does many other aspects also, but for the understanding of the forum, these are the three main important functions of the food safety standards authority. Now, the rule book, the legislative framework of FSSAI, we have the FSS Act 2006, we have the rules, and we have the FSS regulation. For all reasons, the FSS Act is the guiding document for the entire functionality of the Food Safety and Standards Authority of India. And in the FSS Act 2006, we have a total of 101 sections. And for every reason, we refer to this particular act only. From our side, like people who are on the regulatory road, we looked at, for example, the sections 48 to 67. Always, like when we are looking at, when you are picking up a sample, when you are taking a legal sample, and if the legal sample is not conforming to certain standards, and if the food is found to be unsafe, then we will be referring to this particular section. And if the food is unsafe, it is punishable under section 59 for manufacturing of unsafe food. And then if a food business operator has not obtained a license and then he has started with his activity, then that becomes an unauthorized manufacturing, which is punishable under section 63. So like this, for for food imports, we have a section which is section 25. So similarly, even for administrative aspects also, it's being covered in the different sections of the Act, and hence this is something which is will be referred by any regulatory authority who is there in the Food Safety Authority to check and implement. The next one is the rules, FSS rules 2011. This is basically the procedural details as how an enforcement activity will be done in terms of what documents are applicable when we take a sample, what form we should give to the food business business manufacturer, what form we should give to the food analyst, what is the provision available for the FBO to make an appeal if a sample is failing and if he wants to make an appeal, how he has to make the appeal, how a food analyst has to give the report. All that will be given in this FSS Rules 2011. It's basically the procedural part when we do one enforcement activity. What are the powers of the designated officers? How the powers of the food safety officer? What's the role of the food analyst? What is the role of the adjudicating officer? What is the role of the appellate tribunal? All that will be given in this FSS Rules 2011. And now we come to the regulation. FSSAI, the authority, by virtue of the Act, is empowered to make regulations with regards to any aspect of food. And as of now, in the Food Safety Authority, there are 22 technical regulations. To the context of what we are discussing today, we are talking about health supplements and nutraceutical products. Whatever which are highlighted in red color in this regulation, those are the regulations which are very critically with your industry. And we are going to talk about the first regulation, which is the licensing and registration of the business. And with respect to the product specific details, the regulation number 6, which is the food safety standard health supplement, FSDU, FSMP, that is the regulation which is applicable when it comes to product specific details. But you should also be looking at other regulations, which is the contaminant toxin regulation. You should be looking at advertisement and claims regulation. You should be looking at the packaging regulation. You should also be looking at the labeling and display regulation. Product like the health supplement, probiotic, prebiotic product is manufactured, and FPO is required to look at all these regulations, have a thorough understanding of all these regulations, and then only go ahead with the manufacturing of the product. Now, health supplement and nutraceuticals are sensitive and critical products. We'll also be detailing it in the later slide. You all will be aware that earlier this products were also under the ambit of the state licensing agency, but by virtue of the order of FSSAI, this has been brought totally under the purview of the central licensing agency. And if you look at the order will clearly state that the products are sensitive and critical, and that's why the products have been brought under the ambit of central licensing. So, in principle, health supplement, nutraceutical, probiotic, prebiotics are seen as critical products, and that level of sensitivity should be always there when it goes to the when it is for the compliance as how the facility should be, then the complaints in terms of how the product should be, what claims can be made on the product, how the product can be packaged, and how the product can be labeled and displayed. So all that have to be thoroughly looked at, and these regulations have to be looked at before the manufacturing process. So the organizational structure of FSSAI, let me detail you about our Chennai regional office, the offices under Chennai regional office. The Chennai regional office is the regional office for the southern region. We have branch offices in all the southern states in Kerala, Karnataka, Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, and we also have 4 offices in Krishnapatnam, in Thoothukudi, and in Mangalore. So the 4 offices will take care of the import clearance, and the branch offices will be taking care of both licensing and the import clearance activity. Now, going into the licensing and registration regulations 2011, the topic of discussion today. The most important aspect, as I told you, the Act is the rule book that we always refer to. The Section 31 of the Food Safety Standards Act clearly states that no person shall commence or carry on any food business without a license or a registration. You cannot start a food business without a license. You can start you do business only after you obtain the license. So that is very, very important. No business can commence without a license or registration. And the FPO shall make an application for grant of license to the designated officer. The DMA may grant the license or refuse the license based on the observations made thereon. Now, with respect to the authorities for licensing, we are looking at three different concepts here, three different categories. We have a registration authority, we have a state licensing authority, and we have a central licensing authority. The registrating authority and the state licensing authority comes under the purview of the concerned state. Like, for example, Tamil Nadu has its own Tamil Nadu Food Safety Department, and Tamil Nadu Food Safety Department, the authorities of the Tamil Nadu Food Safety Department are responsible for issuance of registration and state license. And then we have the central licensing authority, and the central licensing authority will, for every state we have a designated officer. They will be the authority to issue the license. Now, how the differentiation happens in terms of registration, state licensing, and the central licensing authority. Now, any food manufacturer who is having a turnover of less than 12 lakhs, he will be falling under the ambit of registration. For a better understanding, we will keep it like this: a value-based segregation, a quantity-based segregation, and a kind of business-based segregation. There are certain businesses which will exclusively come under central license. We will detail it in the subsequent slides. As I told you earlier, health supplement in nutraceutical industry is one such kind of business which will come exclusively under the central license category. Now, to understand what's the difference between a registration, state license, and a central license, there is a value-based differentiation. The value-based differentiation is any business which is coming, which is having a turnover of less than 12 lakhs, that comes under the registration. Any business which is having a turnover from 12 lakhs to 20 crores, that comes under the ambit of state license. Any business which is having a turnover of more than 20 crores, it is central license. Now, when we also have a quantity-based differentiation, any business which is doing a production capacity of 2 metric tons per day, up to 2 metric tons per day, it comes under the ambit of state license. Above 2 metric tons per day, it comes under the ambit of central license. So this is the quantity-based differentiation. 2 metric tons is the cutoff value. Less than 2 metric tons goes to the state license. More than 2 metric tons, it comes to the central license. So we saw a value-based differentiation. We are seeing a quantum-based differentiation. And as I told you, there are certain kind of business which will not go into any other category, which will automatically fall under the central license. Now, this is procedure for registration. Of course, not of much importance to participants today, because this is for small businesses. Anybody, a small tea shop, a small household business, a small retail outlet, they will be falling under registration because their annual turnover will be less than 12 lakhs. The registration authority is a state food safety officer controlled by the state designated officer. Now, the quantity-based differentiation. Just one example. We'll take one example here. For example, slaughtering units. If we take large animals, more than 50 large animals, if it is being slaughtered in the slaughtering unit, it will come under central license. More than 2 animals, up to 50 animals will fall under state license. Only up to 2 animals will fall under registration category. So this is the quantity-based differentiation of central licensing, state licensing, and the registration. You will get the entire details of this license eligibility in the FOSCO's website. If you go to the home page, if you see the scrolls landing, you will be seeing the license eligibility tab there. If you click it, the entire thing will open there, and you can understand which business what will fall under which particular kind of licensing. Now, I'm directly going to the licenses that fall under the central license. All that we discussed in terms of quantity and value. Any business which is doing more than 2 metric tons per day Any business which is doing more than 20 crore
Yes.
per year, they will be falling under the ambit of the central license. Now, the specifics in terms of kind of businesses which will fall under central license. Any business which is having the import-export nature of business, anybody who is an importer, anybody who is a merchant exporter, anybody who is a manufacturer exporter, anybody who is doing 100% export-oriented unit business, they all fall under central license. If the terminology is importer or merchant exporter or manufacturer exporter, if import export comes, it is by default it comes to central license. Now the other thing, our topic of discussion, health supplement and nutraceutical, because of the critical nature of the product, it falls under central license. Proprietary food, those companies which are manufacturing proprietary food. Proprietary foods are not standardized food, but then it's a combination of standardized ingredients which is made, which is to prepare a food is called as a proprietary food. Those manufacturing entities will also fall under the central license. Any entity which is having business in multiple states and one of their offices is a head office registered office, that particular license, the head office registered office license, will fall under the central license category. Any establishment which is in a central institute, for example, we have the Indian Institute of Technology, Adayar, IIT Adayar. The units which are falling under the central institute, they will also be falling under central license. E-commerce, people who are doing business in the online platform, they will also be falling under. So these are kind of business-based to recap, we had a value-based differentiation, we had a quantity-based differentiation. We are also having a kind of business-based differentiation. Certain kind of business exclusively fall under central license category. Now, our discussion today on health supplement and nutraceutical product, as I told you, by virtue of the order dated 16/9/2021 of the authority has made it compulsory that all health supplement and nutra manufacturing entities will be falling under central license only. And the reason being, the thin line of difference that is there between a health supplement nutra product and a drug product, and the thin line of difference is 1 RD, the recommended daily allowance. Any value which is more than 1 RDA for a mineral or a vitamin makes the product a drug product. Any value which is 1 RDA and below 1 RDA makes it a food product. That is the thin line of difference between drug and this sensitive products of health supplement and nutraceutical. And considering that sensitivity, the entire aspect of health supplement and nutraceuticals have been brought under the ambit of the central licensing. So procedure for licensing, of course, this will be detailed in the subsequent session. We will be detailing you completely as how the application has to be made, what are all the mandatory documents to be submitted, what are all the applicable forms, how the statement of ingredients should be, what other documents that we'll be expecting from you in addition to the mandatory documents. All that we will detail you in the subsequent session, how the application to be made, how it is to be submitted, and how the queries have to be responded, all that we will take in the subsequent. So this all will be taken in the subsequent session. Now, this is something in relevance to the Schedule 4 requirements. Now, most of the manufacturers who are present in this forum would have already got the license. And if you look at your license, the last 2 pages of your license is the conditions of the license that you have to mandatorily comply with. With every license, the authority is also stipulating the conditions that are to be followed, which have to be mandatorily complied. So the reason why that is given as part of the license, the reason why the authority insists that the license have to be displayed in the prominent place is that FPO should always be aware of the conditions of the license that have to be adhered to. Now, the most important points, whichever I have highlighted in red here, is that the any change or modification that you are doing, the modification may be anything. It may be related to your facility, it may be related to your product. That has to be informed to the authority. The authority has the license has been issued to the particular entity based on an online document verification, and sometimes even based on a pre-license inspection. And based on your capability, a license has been issued to manufacture a certain kind of product. But if you're making any changes in terms of increasing your production capacity, in terms of modifying a product, in terms of adding new products, that has to be informed to the authority and that has to be endorsed in your license. Now, the point number 5, publishing periodic annual return. I will be, we will cover it as a separate slide. This is also a very important point which every manufacturer has to adhere to. Annual returns have to be filed within the due date. Otherwise, it becomes too much difficult from the authority standpoint and also from the FPO standpoint. I'll detail it when it goes to the slide. No product other than what is indicated in your license shall be handled. You are not permitted, the food business operator is not permitted to manufacture a product other than what is given in the license, especially for health supplement and nutraceutical products. The statement of ingredients is verified against each product and then only the license is being issued. As a food business manufacturer, there is no permission wherein the manufacturer by himself can decide to change an ingredient. If you're changing an ingredient, if you're modifying your product, that has to be informed to the authority. If that is being done, then that will be conceived as a new product being manufactured and it will be taken as an unauthorized manufacturing. And hence, only the products that are listed in the license, which has been endorsed in the license, is permitted for the FPO to manufacture. Point number 7 is the Schedule 4 requirements. We'll be looking into each aspect of Schedule 4 requirement and also some practical insights like what we have found in few FPOs when we went for inspection. We will share our experiences also. And this might help the other people also to comply with so that when we come, when there is a regulatory audit, you will be in compliance. Maintain daily records of production, raw material utilization, and sales, etc. Now, this point though looks simple, but it speaks about the documentation. Documentation is the only aspect which will demonstrate your compliance. Whatever activity that is happening at the shop floor, whatever activity that is happening as a manufacturing entity, it may be your quality assurance, it may be the production shop floor, it may be QC testing, it may be your water handling, air handling systems, it may be your pest control, it may be raw material, whatever it is, appropriate documentation has to be maintained. It has to be an online documentation procedure. Only then, when an authority comes for inspection, the compliance by the FPU can be demonstrated. Without documents, the compliance cannot be demonstrated when an inspection happens in your facility. So, especially, like all manufacturers who are here may also be into the drug manufacturing space, and the requirement that is expected in the drug manufacturing segment when it comes for inspection and the documentation required. A similar thing has to be adopted for the food products also, especially the health supplements and nutraceuticals. Now, ensure that the source and standards of raw material used are of optimum. Whichever raw material which goes into your process should be an approved raw material, should have been procured from licensed entities. The purity should be traceable, and the documentation, the COA should be available for each of the ingredient that is being used in your process. So that again, there it speaks about documentation. Data should be verifiable by the inspecting authority. In your process, you should ensure cleaning place for regular cleaning of equipment. Again, the product is of critical nature. You are manufacturing a tablet, you are manufacturing a syrup. You will have a changeover happening between one tablet to the next tablet, or a changeover from one syrup to the next syrup. And you should have a very clear CIP system. It needs an SIP also. You should have And all that has to be properly documented. The changeover has to be clearly documented, should be verifiable, and should be made available when an inspecting authority at your facility. Ensure testing of relevant chemical and or microbiological contaminants. You should have a well-established lab which should be in a position to evaluate your product to whatever extent possible. To whatever extent possible. And every batch has to be tested for whatever parameters that can be evaluated in your lab. And whatever cannot be evaluated in your lab, it can be sent to an NABL FSSAI accredited laboratory, just having the scope for testing the health supplement nutraceutical product. And then the records have to be maintained. But every batch, whichever or the which is within the capability of the food business operator to test, has to be tested, and the records for that have to be maintained, and also the stability data. You are making a new formulation, you are claiming a shelf life for your product, the stability data should be made available. You should have the appropriate stability in terms of real-time accelerated. All the data should be available for verification. Now, again, the last point is similar to point number 9. The manufacturer, importer, distributor should buy products only from licensed registered vendors. You cannot have some grade of chemical which is not applicable for food in your manufacturing process. It should be from an FSSAI licensed entity, or it should be a product which is having a traceability in terms of purity, conforming to established standards, pharmacopoeial standards or WHO standards. It has to have a traceability which is verifiable, which should be acceptable to be used in food. So only from those licensed vendors, the raw materials are to be fulfilled. The reason why I detail this is the conditions of license is very much clear. It implies what is to be followed by the food business operator, and this has to be followed by word. What is given there has to be compliant with, and that's why it's given as part of the license, and that is what the expectation will be from the regulatory authority also. Now, this we looked at any modifications, the authority has to be informed. With respect to your license, as of now, the license validity is only for 1 year, be it a new license or for renewal. The validity period is only for 1 year. And you can apply for renewal 180 days prior to expiry of your license. So now that late fee is not there, you can apply for your renewal 180 days prior to expiry of your license, and the license validity will be for 1 year. Now, the license fee, which is also given in the regulation, Schedule 3 of the regulation, the licensing and registration regulation. As I told you, nutraceutical falls under the ambit of central license, and the fees is 7,500 per year plus the applicable GST. Now, on the aspect of annual return, which I wanted to specifically say, annual return as mandated in the rule book in the licensing and registration regulation, any manufacturer and importer, any manufacturer or importer has to file annual return every year. Once the financial year ends, you have 2 months time, that is the month of April and May, to file your annual return. What has happened is we had a corona and a post-corona era wherein the authority also relaxed the timings for filing of the annual return. More so, from the financial year 2021 onwards, annual returns have to be filed online only. Before financial year 2021, annual returns are accepted as a hard copy document. But from the year 2021, annual return has to be filed through the online process. Through your FOSCO's login only, the annual return has to be filed. The orders are depicted at there. The order dated 18/12/2020 and the order dated 9/8/2021. These orders clearly state that from the year 2021 onwards, annual return has to be filed online. And what has happened is we have found that there are many entities who have not filed the annual return. And when the annual return is not filed by the due date, then that for every day of delay in filing the annual return, there will be a penalty of 100 rupees. For the year 2021, people who have not filed for the year 2021 because of Corona, the authority relaxed the filing date up to August. Usually the filing date, which is May, was relaxed up to August. And beyond August also, there were many entities who have not filed the annual return. And they have filed at one particular date, but by that time it was very late because the filing date will be the cutoff date. And from the scheduled date of filing to the date which was actually filed, 100 rupees would be calculated and GST is also applied on it. And this has, penalty is huge for this FPOs who have not filed the annual return. So we have those observations for the year 21-22. Also, we have the observations for the year 22-23 also. So FPOs, all of you who are participating in the session are all manufacturers who are entitled to file your annual return. In case you have not filed your annual return, please file it online for the year 2021, 21-22 and 22-23. One relaxation that the authority has done for the years 21-22 and 22-23, they have compounded or fixed the maximum penalty as 5 times the annual license fee. It doesn't increase beyond that particular level. The maximum annual penalty that for delay in filing the annual return that you pay will be only 5 times the annual license fee. That is for the year 21-22 and 22-23. Also, please remember, for those FPOs who have not filed the annual return for 21-22 and 22-23 and have filed and then have not paid the penalty, they will not be in a position to renew their license. So you have to file, you have to pay the penalty, and then only you will be in a position to renew your license. So please, I would like all of you to look into your logins under the annual return section and then check whether it has been filed. If it has not been filed, file it, pay the applicable penalty for the years 2021, 21, 22 and 22, 23. Alternatively, we are also issuing notices now for those FPOs who have not filed, and you can respond to the notice by paying the penalty and filing the return and then paying the penalty. Now, we are going to talk about the Schedule 4 requirements as part of this today's topic of discussion. But what are the other schedules that we have in this regulation, the licensing and registration regulation? The Schedule 1 speaks about list of food businesses falling under the purview of central license. Schedule 2 is the application for renewal, for license and renewal. Form B for the license. And Schedule 3 is the fees, applicable fee. And Schedule 4 is what we will be discussing today as part of the topic. So the Schedule 4 requirements, the link that is given there speaks about the Schedule 4 requirements. What are all the what does the rule book say when it comes to Schedule 4 requirements? Basically, Schedule 4 requirements is the expectation that is there in the facility, and most importantly, the aspects related to sanitation and hygiene that is being seen in the facility, documentation, training, physical attributes of your facility in terms of design, layout, location, all that is covered in the Schedule 4 requirement. Now, if you see here, it clearly states, what is given in the rule book is the compliance is, this is a legislative determination that in field of human nutrition, safe, clean, wholesome food is indispensable to the health and welfare of the consumer of the country. And hence, this basic sanitary and hygiene conditions are deemed to be necessary for the production and distribution. It is a legal requirement because you are manufacturing a food product. You have to comply with the basic sanitary and hygiene conditions which are necessary for production and distribution. So this is what the rule book says. So it is a legislative determination. The establishment in which the food is being handled, processed, manufactured, stored, distributed by the food business operator, whether holder of a registration or a license, shall be as per the norms laid in this regulation. There cannot be a deviation at all. It has to be as per the norms laid in this regulation. And it is the responsibility of the food business operator to ensure that. So you will have to comply to all the aspects given in this regulation, and in terms of your facility and in terms of your other components. The broader headings that we have in Schedule 4 requirements are the location and surrounding, where the facility has to be, the layout and the design of food establishment premises, equipment and containers, facilities, food operations and control, management and supervision, food testing facilities, audit documentation and record, sanitation and maintenance of establishment premises, personal hygiene, product information and consumer awareness, and training. The 12 topics that are there in this part 2 general requirements to be followed by all food business operators applying for this. Now, location and surrounding, the facility should not be in a place where there is so much of environmental pollution, so much of other industrial activities happening, obnoxious odor, fumes, excessive soot, dust, smoke, chemical or biological emissions and pollutants should not be there where this the food product is being manufactured. And if at all it is there, appropriate measures should be taken to protect the manufacturing area from any potential contamination. In case the location is of that type, then there should be a demonstration that an appropriate measure has been taken to protect the manufacturing premise from such kind of polluting aspects. The manufacturing premise should not have direct access to any residential area. We should not have a residential area access to your manufacturing facility. Layout or design of the food establishment. This, of course, everybody will know, everybody will have a basic understanding as how the floor should be, how the ceiling should be, how the wall should be. It should be as required for a manufacturing facility. It should be cleanable. It should not be accumulating dust. The floor should be durable, should be withholding the equipment that you have installed for the production process, should withstand wear and tear, should withstand disinfectants that we use for cleaning, and should be free from maximum crevices so that the waste doesn't get accumulated there. So all that in terms of floor, ceiling, wall, the visible attributes, the shell of the facility has to be adhered to. The doors that are there should be smooth and should have a non-absorbent surface. Should be cleanable basically by any disinfectant, applicable disinfectants that we use should be cleanable. And the floor of the processing area, if it is an area where there is more of water usage, should have a proper drainage facility. Adequate control measures should be there to prevent insects and rodents from entering the processing area. And this is a basic, very basic requirement that you should have a pest control, a rodent control mechanism in your facility. There is no provision or there will be zero tolerance for this particular aspect when it comes to rodents and pests. And windows, doors, and all other openings should be well covered by screens as applicable to your production process. So that is also something which is to be adhered to. So this may look as very fundamental or this all we know kind of concept, but this is what is being expected. This is something which a manufacturer has to look at, even if it is an existing running facility, whether we are adherent to all these points, whether we are compliant to all these points. Should we relook at what basic changes can be made so that we'll be compliant to this particular aspect? That is something which everybody has to look into. Now, equipment and containers, whatever you are using in your process, should not be should not leak, should be corrosion free, and should not impact the product that is being manufactured. There should be that specific MOC, material of construction, for that particular container or for the particular equipment which comes with the product contact, so that the product doesn't get affected. And this is something again, like manufacturers who have been in this industry for quite a long time, who are also doing drugs, you are all well aware what kind of equipment, what kind of containers, what kind of detailing should go there so that the product is not impacted. So that is also something which needs to be checked in at the time of installation, at the time of qualification, at the time of your design process itself. You need to decide what type of container, what type of equipment goes into the process. Now, facilities, what are all the basic requirements? What facility should be there in your unit? There should be a good supply of water supply, good supply of water, that potable water conforming to IS 10500 standard should be there for your facility. Water should be available for cleaning utensils and equipments, washing of raw materials if it is applicable, ice and steam. If you have autoclave, if you have a requirement of ice, then how which place houses that particular your boiler, or you have a air compressor. There should be a designated place to keep your boiler, your air compressor, your chilling units for your AHU. All that should have a designated place. Drainage and waste disposal facilities for the personnel, including toilets, air quality and ventilation. Supposing you are working on a HVAC system, then as I told you, your chilling units, your air handling units, where it is being placed, it's outside the facility, it's above the facility, all that has to be clearly demarcated. It have to be identified in your layout. It should be there as part of your site master plan. Adequate lighting for all your production areas. So these are all basic requirements which have to be looked at. And depending upon products, again, health supplement, nutraceutical, we have a range of products. It goes into more sensitive products like probiotic, prebiotics, where we have more critical facility requirements. All that have to be adhered to. If it is to be done in a classified area, if it has to be certain level of gowning to be followed, all that have to be followed, and your facility should support. If there is a requirement for a change room, a single change room or double change room, your facility should support that. So all that considerations has to be taken at the time when you are designing your facility, depending upon the product that you are going to manufacture. These considerations have to be made. Now, this is not as part of the schedule for requirements, but since we were talking about water, I thought I should also touch upon this. This is something which we will also be looking at as part of your license application scrutiny. The NOC, if you're extracting groundwater, the NOC from the state groundwater authority is what we will be looking at. For example, the state of Tamil Nadu, we have a GO number 155, where the Tamil Nadu state government has classified the categorization, overexploited, critical, semi-critical, safe, saline, poor quality. And as per this particular order, the groundwater authority mandates if it is a manufacturing unit and if it is extracting groundwater, they should have the permission from the groundwater authority. However, there is an order of FSSAI, the order dated 2/1/2018, to be read with order dated 11/1/2021. If you are an MSME company having the registration, MSME registration, then you have an exemption. You can draw up to 10 KLA per day. Water can be drawn. You can utilize the groundwater. So this is what the authority has given us an order for the manufacturing entity. However, having said that, the binding of the state authority is always there, and if at all, depending upon the criticality of the area where your unit is located, if the state authority asks for an NOC, it is always better to provide the or obtain the NOC from the state authority and give a copy of the NOC to us when we are processing your license application. Now, food operations and controls, again back to Schedule 4 requirements. Whatever we discussed till now was facility related, but now we are looking at the process related. What you do as a manufacturing process, what you have as in-process controls, and how that is being done in your facility. Procurement of raw materials, storage of raw materials. Now, procurement of raw materials, it clearly says that you should have approved vendor list from whom you will be procuring your raw materials. There should be a procedure as how the raw materials you have procured, stored in your facility. What is product under quarantine, product under test, product released, and then storage of raw materials. If a product is temperature sensitive, whether it is stored in 2 to 8 or in a deep freeze, appropriate storage facility should be there. Appropriate tracking mechanism should be there. If we have raw materials obtained for drug, there should be a separate tracking for drug products intended for drug, and then raw materials intended for food. There should be a separate segregation in your facility that this is for drug and this is for food. The food processing, preparation and packaging distribution area, service area should also be properly maintained, controlled. All the activities happening there, and if there is a temperature requirement in that particular area, whether the temperature is being maintained, if there is a humidity requirement there, whether that is being maintained. The food packaging area, and relevance to it, please look at the food packaging regulation, what is permitted as a packaging material. Please have a look at that regulation. And the food distribution, how you have a logistic mechanism, how the product, the finished goods leaves your facility, reaches your second level of the logistical supply, and then how it reaches the end user. Now, all this I have mentioned as documentation here. The reason why I mentioned as documentation here, all this can be verified by the inspecting authority by the documentation that you are demonstrating at the time of inspection. How is your warehouse? How is your processing area? How is your lab? How is your finished goods area? How is your products being transported? If all these aspects are demonstrated through documentation, it should be part of your quality management system, your quality assurance. That will be the most ideal situation for the inspecting authority because everything will be verifiable. Now, management and supervision. Here's what we want to talk about: the quality management system. A detailed SOP for the processing of food as well as its package, dispatch, storage should be there. Everything, any aspect, any process, any procedure, any work that is being executed in the facility should be documented. You should have a standard operating procedure for the particular activity. An entity is entering into the facility, you should have an entry-exit procedure. There should be an authorized personal record available at the entry of the facility so that to verify which particular shop floor person has entered into the facility, which analyst has entered into the lab. All that should be verifiable with the date and time stamp so that an inspection officer, when he comes, he can verify at this particular date, this particular person has entered into your facility. So any process, any activity, that it may be a production process, it may be a QC process, it may be an engineering activity, which are routinely happening, should be controlled through the SOP. That should be a standard operating procedure. The second thing, which is most important for a manufacturing entity like health supplement and nutraceutical, the technical managers and supervisors should have appropriate qualification, knowledge, and skill. This is what the regulation says. The regulation says that the technical managers and supervisors should have appropriate qualification, knowledge, and skills. And very, very important for the health supplement and nutraceutical product. Somebody in the formulation area should know what ingredients are being added, what quantity is being added, what time it can be, the formulation process can take, what amount of color can be added to the product. All that has to be, should be done by a technical qualified person. And that calls for the quality management system, which should be directly under the purview of the management, driven through your quality assurance department, taking absolute control of all the activities, different activities happening in your production area or the overall manufacturing area. This supervision is very, very important for ensuring compliance. Food testing facility, as I told you, you should have a lab to test at least the basic parameters of the product that you are intending to manufacture. For the parameters that you are not able to test in your facility, you can always get it done through an accredited lab notified by FSSAI. Here again, you have to have documentations to demonstrate that the testing is happening. Every batch is being tested for the quality attributes or microbiological attributes. Should be verifiable by means of your documentation, by means of your equipment log. Many of the units that we went for inspection, they say that, sir, it has been tested. But if we ask for an equipment logbook to say whether it has been tested, show us which product was tested in which equipment. Will you have a record of that? There will be no records available. So that traceability should be there, even through your equipment logbooks, which can be verifiable that this product was tested on this particular day and this analyst has tested the product. So that can be demonstrated only through the documentation product. Here, in relevance to this, as per the requirements, now you have to upload your product test reports every 6 months in your OSCO's portal for the authority to verify whatever products are being manufactured, which are being endorsed in your license. The test reports for the products have to be submitted in OSCO. Audit documentation and record. One of the most important aspects of the Schedule 4 requirement is audit documentation and records. We have sufficiently spoken about documentation, which is the most important thing for the inspecting agency to verify. But when it comes to audit, there are different types of audits that happen. You can have an internal audit frequency. Your own team members from the different department inspecting the other department will also be a very good mechanism by which you can look at the level of compliance that you have. We also have the third-party audit system, which is as part of which is a recognized process of FSSAI. I'll be sharing the details with you. The third-party audit agencies or empaneled agencies of FSSAI who will come and audit your facility. See, here it is always good for a third eye to look at your facility, your process, your compliance, because they will be in a better position. What is assumed as a compliant process, the third-party auditor will be in a position to say, no, this is not the right way. We have to modify this. This has to be improvised this way. Will be best told by a third-party audit agency. And all the audits that you do has to be properly documented, and the findings have to be there. If there are critical findings which have to go through a CAPA, then that has to be done, and that has to be documented. And if there is a deviation, that has to be documented. If there is a change, that has to be documented through a change control. And all that should be made available for the inspecting authority at the time of inspection. So there may be a feeling, so this expectation is slightly on the higher side, but it is reiterated that health supplements and nutraceuticals are critical products. The product resemblance is so close to drugs, and the public will not even be able to know that whether this is a drug product or a food product. That is how the presentation of the product is, and so much of expectation the product product creates in the market, and hence this level of compliance is required for the safety of the end users. Now, sanitation and maintenance of establishment premises, cleaning and maintenance, very important. Pest control system. This is again one point that which was lacking in many of the units that we did. But pest control system, we should have a pest control agency as part of your. You should have an agreement with the pest control agency, and there should be a routine pest control management happening. Cleaning and maintenance is very, very important. Every batch, every changeover, every product that is gets changed, there should be a cleaning mechanism. There should be a maintenance schedule for all your equipments, for all your critical instruments. There should be a maintenance schedule. And again, all this should be as part of your quality management system, a part of your system, and also should be verifiable by means of documentation. Personal hygiene, again, the health status, personal cleanliness, and how do you handle your visitors. The health status, there should be annual medical health checkup for all the employees working in critical areas, be it your production process or QC, that all the employees have to be tested for their, should be evaluated for their health. The regulation says that the personnel have to be vaccinated for endemic diseases. The endemic diseases can be hepatitis B, typhoid. At least if these diseases are covered by means of vaccination, that will be a satisfactory level of compliance. Any employee who is having a health condition, be it flu or be it any other condition, he shall not be permitted to enter into the shop floor on that particular day. Only after he gets okay, he will be allowed to enter to the shop floor. Personal cleanliness, it is again as part of your quality systems. What all to be covered under the aspect of personal cleanliness should be captured as part of your policy, as part of your SOP, and has to be input as a culture in your manufacturing process. You should have a very clear visitor policy. Who can be allowed to visit into your facility? If you have a critical area, you have a classified area. Then, if you have, it is advisable not to allow the visitor. You can always, they can walk through the corridor and watch the production process through a glass partition, if at all if that provision is there. So you should also have a clear visitor policy as who is entering into your facility. Product information and consumer awareness. This is what goes as the labeling and display of your product, which is very clearly given in the labeling display regulation. The consumer should know what is the detail of the product, what ingredients are there on the product, what is the shelf life of the product, what is the directions for use of the product. All that has to be clearly given, and that will also be covered as part of our subsequent section, the labeling display regulation. Now, training, again, very important aspect, and which is also a continual process, should be a continual process in your system, depending upon the area where the concerned personnel is working. He should have adequate training in the process before being deployed into that particular activity. The training has to be, there should be a clear job description for the particular person. He has to finish his training as per the job description. If he is an analyst entering into a testing area, there should be analyst qualification for him. He should pass through the analyst qualification, and then only he should be allowed to enter into the process. So similar systems for your production area. The requirement as part of the authority is that there should be a trained food safety supervisor. There should be one supervisor for every 25 food handling persons in your company. There are 25 people. There should be at least one FSSAI trained food safety supervisor. So this is something which is to be mandatorily complied with. There should be a trained food safety supervisor in your company. The numbers will be dependent on how many food handlers are there in your organization. Now, moving further, I will be showing you certain links only. This inspection checklist that you are seeing, if you click this particular link, this is what is the inspection checklist that the inspecting authority will be carrying with it when it comes to inspect your facility. Now, if compliance is ensured to this inspection checklist, there'll be a certain level of 70 to 80% compliance can be ensured. The expectation in terms of what is required is given in this particular checklist. You take a screenshot and they probably do a Google, you'll get this particular checklist, which will be it will give you an idea as what the expectation is when we come for an inspection. Now, with respect to health supplement and nutraceutical products, I've tried to compile what are all the applicable FAQs and guidance documents that is available in the FSSAI portal. Now, we have an exclusive
சரி சார் நான் இப்ப என்ன பண்றேன்
We have the nutraceutical regulation given there. How we need to get an approval for a non-specified food, the procedure is given there. What is the compliance that is expected in the facility? We have a link given there. Licensing and registration. The licensing and registration FAQ serial number 4 is very, very, kind of a guiding document. Each point is very nicely framed and the answers are given there, which can be read by each one of you. And also the guidance document on health supplement, the food safety management system for health supplement and nutraceuticals. So these are all the documents that you can refer to, have some periodic reference done, which will help you in ensuring your compliance. Third-party audits, the link that is given here will give you the list of empaneled third-party agencies with their validity date. So you can select any of these third-party agencies based on their capability to do an audit of the health supplement nutra industry, and then you can engage them to get your facility evaluated, because this will be the this is part of the process wherein FSSAI has empaneled these agencies who are permitted to do audits of food business manufacturers. Food testing labs, again, this link will tell you what are all the labs which are having the capability, their scope for testing, their accreditation status with NABL, and their validity dates, which products can be tested by them. So these details will be available in case you are getting your product tested by an outside lab. You can refer to this particular list. You can select appropriate labs based on the scope that they are having for testing. FOSTAC, we have an exclusive website for FOSTAC. You can refer both these links given here. How to identify a trainer and how to get the training done. All those details, the food safety training and certification process, FOSTAC, is available in this link. You can take this and then ensure that there is one food safety supervisor for every 25 personnel who are handling food in your manufacturing unit. Having given all those links, this two links is very, very important. The FSSAI website by itself is an encyclopedia of information. Like all that you need is available there. Only thing is you have to click and then get into it and understand. Need based, you can take the information. Similarly, FOSCOs also. So many user manuals, guidance notes, how to apply, all that has to be given in this links. So anybody who's into the application process, they can look at this foscos.fssai.gov.in. Also, we have instances where people apply in fraudulent websites and then come and say, sir, I applied in another website. I don't know whether that website is the right website or not. Please note foscos.fssai.gov.in is the official website of FSSAI for making the applications to FSSAI. Now, for the next training session that we are planning, even before we go into the training session, I would request all of those who are involved in the license application process to look into this video, which is there in the FSSAI portal, and also this particular guidance document for making application for health supplement and nutraceutical products. So this will prepare you when you come for the next session, which is on the license application process. What are all the documents required? How the statement of intentions have to be made. So before that, if you come with a preliminary knowledge, that will also be good. This is the POSCO's website. These are other aspects, other product categories that we have in our regulation. It speaks about our scientific panels and committees. And as I told you, for non-specified food, you need to have a prior approval from the authority. For organic certification, there's an NPOP PGS certification that is expected to give an organic endorsement. Fortification endorsement is also done by FSSAI. Any product with the F plus logo is fortified, is a fortified product, fortified with the essential micronutrients. And we also have the vegan endorsement, which is a recent concept, wherein the product is termed as a vegan food. It is completely vegetarian. Now, the other initiatives of FSSAI, also does Eat Right School, Campus, Station, Eat Right Places of Worship, Eat Right RUCO. RUCO is a very important sustainability concept, wherein the used oil is diverted for manufacturing of biodiesel. So that's my presentation, and I'm leaving my contacts here. If at all you have any doubts, you can write to me, you can call me. If there is an issue which is to be resolved, you can always visit us also. We will be happy to guide you and then clear you with your doubts. Thank you very much. If there are any questions, I will.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, because we are running short of time, I would request if anyone has a couple of questions, you can ask. Otherwise, you can shoot it to doctor directly, or you can shoot it to IDMA's mail ID. We will forward it to doctor. So before that, before into the question and answer, I would just continue with what doctor said. There is an announcement. The next webinar will be on 26th, which is Thursday, and it is not on Wednesday, which we had given it in the print, which is on 25th. So it will be on 26th Thursday, the same time. Any questions? If it is there, doctor, should we take it now, or better leave it for them to make?
We can take it for another 5 minutes.
Yeah. 5 minutes. People can just unmute yourself and ask the questions. I think so, doctor. Everyone is convinced, and no, it was a very comprehensive presentation, doctor. I think so. Thank you very much for the whole presentation, and I'm sure take home most of our all our members would be very happy. I'll just take it to the formal vote of thanks by Mr. Sridharan.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Sridhar? Sir, I'll finish it off. I think so. There is some network. He's not there.
Yeah,
thank
I
you.
can do that.
Yeah. Please, Sridhar.
Thank you, Shiva. And, it has been a very, very interesting session today by Dr. K. Arul Anand. And, it's very, very, in-depth, information he has given in a very simple format. And then earlier to that, Mr. VK Pancham, he also has given a introductory talk. And, this has been, I'm sure, most of our members would really get the benefit out of this particular webinar. And then we have got 2 more webinars to follow. And it's so simple and, with lots of clarity for the existing entrepreneurs, as well as for the people who want to get into this FSSAI business in the future. So, I really appreciate the time and efforts taken by the speaker, Mr. Arul Anand, Dr. Arul Anand, and we look forward to having you, in our next subsequent sessions also. Thank you for the very, very overwhelming response from the audience also, and I really thank the IDMA for facilitating this webinar, and especially Mr. Siva. Thank you very much again.
Before I conclude, to all the participants,
thank you.
Please be informed the next 2 sessions are very important. Even more important. So I want all of you to participate and get the best out of it. That will actually simplify our process also when it comes to application scrutiny. And also, so please attend the next 2 sessions which we have scheduled. And just to conclude, self-compliance is the key. I want all the manufacturers used to be self-compliant as per the expectation from the. We are detailing what is expected. We are expecting that you will all be self-compliant. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Sivanandan. Thank you, IDMA, and my sincere thanks to our director for allowing us to do this presentation. And thanks to my colleagues, Dr. Vivek and Dr. Lydia, who will be taking the subsequent session. All the best. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Doctor.